Hey guys, Analog here for another deck profile, and as you can see from the title, we're actually looking at an old rogue deck that actually has made a really weird resurgence recently in BT13 thanks to the Gizumon line, basically. We're looking at Anubismon Rush. This deck actually came out way back in BT4 for anybody that doesn't, who, joined the game later, past BT4. This deck was actually pretty crazy back then when it first came out because people actually figured out a way to just like continuously summon stuff back from the trash with a few option cards and stuff like Night Ray. Night Ray was probably like the main card for this deck back then. And you would basically just continuously summon stuff, rush for turn. And back then we didn't really have as much removal, so Anubismon could kind of just chill there while it just summons stuff out over and over. And surprisingly, you can do that now, especially now with the Gizumon line. You can do that continuously as well because every time one dies, it replaces itself with something else. So you can potentially just keep chipping as long as you have enough material in the trash, basically, which is really cool. Um, from what I've seen of gameplay of this deck, basically, all you really do is just kind of like do chip damage, and then you go for like that last 4 hits using Anubismon by pushing her out from raising, which is really cool. But yeah, let's actually get into the deck profile so you can see what I'm talking about. So for eggs, we actually run 5. We run 3 of the Demi-Meramon from BT8. If I had the other ones at the moment, the other ones are actually in my Belphamon deck at the moment, but if you really wanted to, you could also use the one that on deletion draws 1 card and trashes a card. But for this one, since you trash a lot in this deck, this actually gives you an extra draw, so I kind of like this honestly a little bit more. And usually you want to be seeing this egg because you do get to draw, so I thought, hey, let's just go for trashing anyway. So I went with a 3-2 split with this, which actually seemed to work pretty well. But yeah, that's basically all the eggs for the deck. We run, as I said, 5 because, we want to just keep going and just kind of chip our opponent and then slowly kind of win the game, basically. So for level 3s, we run kind of actually a small amount, honestly. We run 4 Ignite Mons. When attacking by deleting one of your other Digimon, you get to delete something that's an equal cost. But honestly, we don't really use this as much. We're mainly using its inherent, which gives us a memory whenever we play a Digimon by an effect, which is pretty cool. That in conjunction with the rest of the line that you build can potentially gain you back 3 to 4 memory, which is really busted. Then we run 2 Psychmon because Royal Knight is still kind of around. It also prevents Blue Flare, Crosshair, a lot of decks that reduce cost, especially Hunters. That also helps, so Psychmon's really important. Then we run, the last rookie we actually run is 2 Fascomon because on deletion you get to draw 1, and its inherent is actually pretty cool too. End of opponent's turn you get to draw 1 and trash 1, which will also trigger some effects, which is really, really cool. But yeah, that's all the rookies we run. We only run exactly 8, which, I mean, it's fine because I've actually been running like some of my other decks at 8, like Machine Dramon had 8, maybe 9 at this point, so it's just kind of weird numbers because going to 12 rookies in certain decks actually does kind of break the deck into just only seeing your rookies sometimes, so even distribution. But yeah, then for level 4s, we of course run 4 of the new Proto Gizumon. Proto Gizumon's still really powerful right now. The fact that on play it draws 1, trashes 1, then when it dies it gets to summon AT, and then AT summons XT, and then it goes back to him, which is really cool. But he can also pop an egg in raising, so you don't always have to pop something out here, which is really cool. So I don't know, like this guy's really amazing, honestly, for level 4 or level 3. Then going on to level 4s, I missaid earlier that this was a level 4. I keep thinking this is a level 4 for some reason, but it is another level 3. So with how this is, we're actually running technically 12. I keep forgetting that he is a rookie. It's just that he looks so similar to the other ones, I just kind of like blend them in with the other ones. But yeah, so we run 12 exactly. Then for level 4s, we run 4 of the super old Genkakumon from BT6. This guy has literally no effects, but his inherent is what you really want, because when you trash a card, you get to gain a memory. So, pretty self-explanatory why you want this, extra memory, which is really busted. Then we run 3 scatter modes. I used to run 4 in testing with this build, but I feel like it kind of like the main goal was to get this. That was the main thing I wanted half the time. So seeing this was kind of like most of the time, and you could always play it back anyway through other effects. So it's okay, honestly. Like scatter mode is still one of the best purple level 4s, but at the same time, this deck is going more for just swarming with other stuff from the trash itself and not just swinging and trashing. So it just depends on your situation. And then, of course, we're running one Eismon because Eismon is still really busted in conjunction with Scatter Mode, being able to summon itself from trash, and also it gains Rush from Anubismon if you already have it out, so pretty cool. Then for the last level 4 we run, of course, we run four Gizumon ATs because this one on play draw 2, trash 2, triggers your effects. It can also summon XT by bottom decking itself and one other Gizumon, basically, so pretty cool. That's all the level 4s we run. For level 5s, we actually run Blue Maramon. So this card has literally been sitting in my commons bin for like the longest time, and this is probably the only deck I've ever really seen it being used in. It's actually pretty cool. Like, I like its effect. It has retaliation by default, which is really pretty decent already. And then when Digimon, you get to draw 2 and trash 2, which of course triggers this effect and this effect. Well, this effect specifically, which is really cool. So you can potentially make this a 2-cost evolution, and it also has the same exact effect. When you play a Digimon by an effect, same as Ignite, you get to gain a memory. So if you go into Anubismon, you basically gain back 2 memory, making Anubis like only 1 evolution cost, which is really cool because then you get to chip and do damage. But yeah, aside from that, this guy's actually really solid for the deck. As I mentioned, I've never really looked at him until now, but he seems pretty cool, honestly, for this deck. And then the last level 5 we run is, of course, the XTs, because XT is really cool. He's a blocker. He's 9,000 on play. He gets an Akihiro, which we do not play, so that effect is moot in this deck. But all turns, of course, it can't Digivolve, which really sucks. On deletion, though, you can just replay a Proto, and then that just like restarts the cycle over and over, which is really cool. But yeah, that's all the level 5s. And then for level 6s, we run for Anubismon, of course, this deck being based around it. Anubismon, from all the way from back in BT4, this card somehow came back, and it's just really cool. For those that don't know what this card does, especially if you entered into the game after this left the format, or left the meta, basically when Digivolving, you get to play 1 level 3 Digimon card from your trash without paying its cost. Awesome. In conjunction with that, and possibly this, you potentially can just gain memory in the process, which is really cool, because most likely with this you will be summoning Proto Gizu, which will allow you to basically draw 1, which will also trash and then trigger this and technically this because you summoned a Digimon. So you're basically getting back like 3 to 4 memory in that process, which is really cool. And then it also has a your turn effect, which is when you play a Digimon from your trash, it doesn't specify what level it is when it's played back. That Digimon just gains Rush automatically. So if you have it set up properly, you can potentially just keep going with the Gizumon XT, the Gizumon line basically, and just keep going and rushing and then summoning more and just chipping for 4 hits. You could potentially just win the game at that point because you don't really care if basically you don't care if it dies because you just continuously keep summoning it back out. So basically, the whole deck facilitates just putting Gizus into the deck and then resummoning them over and over and over with Anubis, and then just basically winning at that point with it, which is really cool. Along with that, also, we do run 4 Nidhogg's because this Nidhogg, we actually do not use this for evolution. This is specifically here for its other effect. It's basically an all turns effect technically. When you trash this card in your hand using one of your effects, you gain a memory. So if you do this on your opponent's turn, you get to basically gain a memory. But the cool thing is that if you trash this through everything else, you're basically gaining a memory regardless and just setting up faster because you're gaining that extra memory. And yeah, that's basically why we're on the 4. That's basically all the Digimon for the deck. The rest is just options and 1 Tamer specifically because with Hunters kind of still being in the format, we don't really want to have our Anubismon tucked underneath or basically gotten rid of. So we basically stick with just 1 Tamer. But for options, we run, of course, the 3 Night Raids, the reprint one, of course, because I honestly like the art more in this one. Main, you basically get to play a level 3 from your trash without paying its cost. It doesn't get its on play effects, which sucks, but you do get to play one. And Anubismon gives it rush immediately, which is really cool. And usually, if you play it right, you can gain back 2 memory at least, which will allow you to play another one and rush again with it. So run at least 3 copies of this if you want to keep going. Then we run 2 Death Claws, which helps facilitate our deletions of Gizu and other stuff like Scatter Mode and Eismon. And of course, it does delete your opponent's stuff at the same time, so that's pretty cool too. Also, it's 1 cost, so you could pass your opponent to 1 doing it. Then we run, of course, 1 Calling from the Darkness because this is limited to 1 because it was really busted. It lets you grab back 2 purple Digimon by deleting 1. And potentially what you do is you do this on this and you get to grab back two Digimon, and that's helps set up your board basically. Then we run 1 Demonic Disaster, which some purple OTK decks have been using in the past. You can delete a Digimon to unsuspend one of your purple Digimon. So potentially, if you swing with XT, it survives, and then you swing with Anubis, and you still want 1 more attack. You play this, you delete the XT, which summons out Proto, which then gives it Rush, and then you swing with Anubis for game. And even if it wasn't game, you still have the Proto to do it. So pretty cool. Then we have Missed Memory Boost because it helps us trash cards and draw 1, and it's a memory boost, so pretty cool. And then we're using honestly one of my favorite purple cards from back in the day in BT6, Glaive Memory Boost. You get to return 1 purple Digimon to your hand, and then you trash. Basically, return 1 purple Digimon card from your trash to your hand, then place this card in your battle. So basically, you just get to recover like your key piece, and then you get to gain 2 memory the next turn. So potentially, in conjunction with these, you can make Anubismon for basically 0 cost. So pretty cool. And then the last card of the deck, of course, is the Tamer, which is Matt. Helps us retrieve stuff from the trash and helps set our memory. So solid at 1 of. I do kind of want to try 2, but I don't really know what to cut yet at the moment. I feel like maybe cutting Calling, because I honestly haven't really used Calling as much. Maybe Demonic, I don't know, maybe cut down 1 Death Claw. I don't know, one of them is fine. But for now, that's how the deck works. But yeah, as I mentioned, this deck is basically just chipping for damage. Then at the end, you do the Anubismon play, and you just keep going with the Proto Gizus and just rush them for game at that point, which is actually pretty cool because you could potentially close out the game by turn 4, which is insane how fast that is because against like decks like Shine, you go like, okay, you kill my guy, but I just keep bringing it back, right? And then you do the Anubismon play and you rush them, and you don't really care if you hit a Marcus because then it's like, oh, cool, you just do minus 3,000 on it. Okay, it dies, it brings another one out, and it just keeps doing that over and over. So even if they do the DP minus, you can keep going. Mirage, you know, it's going to bounce. If you can bounce your Anubis, you might be in trouble, but most of the time, you're not going to be pushing out Anubis unless you're ready to just go for game, basically. Any other like Royal Knights, you have Psychmon to stop them, but you can honestly outspeed them because it does take them a while to set up, and usually by the time you set up and do the Anubis play, they basically can't do anything at that point. Then with like maybe like Red Hybrid, you can like honestly outspeed them sometimes, but they are pretty fast, so it's kind of a 50-50 on that. But aside from that, this deck actually has a really weirdly good matchup because it's really fast. Because it's just essentially it's a stack deck, but at the same time it has the Gizus to kind of allow you to just kind of chip for damage and rush them at the end game, which is really crazy. But yeah, no, it's just this deck is just pretty bare bones, honestly. But bare bones sometimes can win the game much more efficiently than a deck that's overly complicated like Shine. But yeah. This is, as I mentioned many times before with all my deck profiles, this is a template that you can work off of to modify however you want. Maybe you want to change the ratios on certain things, like maybe adding in another mat, maybe adding in like the Sora and Mimi or whatever, anything, you know. And yeah, as usual, you know, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you thought of it, and I'll see you guys next time.